G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, today we're here. This is the entrance to Dingo Beach down in the southwest of WA. And so today I'm running you through what we've done to the Cruiser. As you can see, we've already got a new whip up here. In terms of like the suspension, the tyres, the rear diff housing, the whole build process. Basically, where has it been over the last couple of weeks? It's been locked away, unfortunately. I haven't been able to drive it. Anyway, we'll get into it. We'll get down to the beach and I'll run you through. Alright, so where did this build start? So obviously eventually I had the single cab Cruiser and the plan was always to get a dual cab because I was planning on eventually having kids. And so anyway, so the long goal was eventually we need something with more seats to be able to source that application. And then when I built the last Cruiser, I was quite happy with where everything was sitting right at the end. It took a little while to get there in terms of the springs. I was umming and ahhing whether to go coils or not. And then towards the end, right at the end, just before I got rid of it, I tried out the Terrain Tamer parabolics. And that's what really set my mind apart between going from the coils in the rear to going for the leaves. Obviously, the other advantage to the lease, I live in the country and all the stuff we do is all either in the country or remote to some form. And just sourcing parts is always, it's always on your mind. Just little things like, we were over at a trip at the other side of Esperance about a year ago. I didn't have a spare fuel filter on us and the fuel filter light came on. Nothing was open when we got to Esperance, but I was still able to source a new fuel filter and I did have to change that out myself. Just little things like that. Might seem pretty pedantic or just on the odd chance that it probably is never going to realistically happen to you, or the chances of it is pretty likely, but you know, contaminated fuel does come along. And that's half the reason why I run 2 fuel filters as well. Anyway, so we'll get into what we've done. Back to the obvious, we all knew these are the tyres going on. I did have these tyres on the last Cruiser. Not quite that exact size. These are 315/70 R17s. I had 315/75 16s. So they were just on a 16-inch rim. I believe these are marginally bigger. These are also equipped on a 17 by 9-inch wide rim, and the other rims I had, I think, on the last Cruiser, they were either an 8 or 8.5. They're a steel rim they were. So these tyres already sit a lot flatter and look a lot wider and do have a bigger stance than the actual tyre. And you will notice this, the sidewall on the tyres is a lot more straighter than they are on the steel rims. Yeah, which I also believe that's half the reason why they don't really look like they're bagging as much. You probably wouldn't believe me, but that's 15 psi. I aired all these tyres down to 15 psi prior to coming down here at Dingo's, because this is notoriously soft anyway. I did stop up the beach a little while ago, and I didn't get bogged, but I certainly spun some wheels trying to take off. And I've seen this is pretty firm for down here realistically, so I know that this is a good starting point in terms of tyre pressure. Anyway, so away from the wheels, so we've got the terrain tamer parabolic springs, greasable shackles and greasable pins. Just a standard length shackle. The whole idea was to flatten out the level of the car. As you can still see, it is marginally lower in the front than the rear. And the tray, there's nothing in it. All the toolbox have got full of stuff, which I can show you that in another video. Yeah, anyway. And then on the front, got the Dobinson springs. And they're actually the Dobinson MRR, or MRR, the 3-way adjustable remote reservoir shocks all round. And then the steering dampener, we've got the Dobinson, I think it's just a crappy steering damper really, but it works. It's what I had on the last car. And then, not too sure what panhard that is, just some black adjustable one. And then we equipped it with some Blackhawk radius arms. So let's get the camber of the diff to the right angle. That's all that's for, just so you don't have offset bushes, which tends to wear out, don't last as long. Other cars are known to come up with death wobbles when the bushes don't wear properly, and that those bushes being offset can cause premature wear as well. The other thing they've done, they've disconnected the hold up on that arm there for the ABS, just to allow flex, and it looks like, I'm going to say, almost an inch spacer on the radius arm, on the sway bar there as well. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into the rear. We'll show you guys what's going on there. What is that, some of you might ask? Well, that, my friend, is what Toyota should have done. As you can see, so I've chucked in a DWIZ rear diff, and that's to correct the spacing on the rear wheels. That's not the only reason why I've gone for that diff. The other reason is also to do with the GVM upgrade. So obviously this has been, I think the GVM on these from factory is somewhere around the 3300 mark. So the new ones, or sorry, the newer model than mine, I came out with the big ugly indicators on the side of the car. They got upgraded to 3510 or 3515, so just over 3.5 ton. And all that's to do with is the airbag compliance, from my understanding, because I wanted to bring the vehicle into I guess its own classification. And when they take the GVM over 3.5 ton, it becomes a different classification. So as you can see with this, I've had to, you got to step up to the Cat 6 indicators, and that's part of the 3.5 ton or above GVM vehicles. So it's in that same classification. So anyway, so the GVM we went with is a 4 ton. I was umming and ahhing whether to go the 4.2. But the main reason why I went with the 4 ton, because I already had those 700 constant kilo terrain tamer parabolics. And that's what really determined me to go with the 4 ton. They did query whether I wanted to go up one more, and all you have to do is opt for another leaf spring, not the whole leaf pack assembly. So in terms of that, it's pretty easy to do. But unfortunately I've gone with a 4 ton, so legally I can't go above that. Anyway, so I went with Packard Automotive. They're south of the river in Perth, Forestdale there. They were pretty easy to deal with. All the legal stuff isn't quite fully finished and signed off yet. We're still just waiting for the last bits of paperwork to come through. So I don't know the full customer experience, I guess you can say, in in terms of rating Packard, for if you guys would like to go there in the future. I haven't fully finished with them yet, so I can't rate them as such yet. But everything so far has been reasonably smooth. There are a few little hiccups, but on a build like this, it costs quite a bit of money. There's probably going to be some kind of slow process to it anyway. So with the diff done, that brought the track back out to the same width as the front, and then the wheels good for -12mm offset, so that's brought the wheels out slightly more, and the blocks of the tread sit just to the inside of the front flare there, which you can sort of see on the rear one here. So I don't know, that's what the engineer signed off, so they obviously thought it's legal. I did have to step up a mud flap length, because obviously the mud flaps here in WA have to be no further off the ground than 300mm. So that's why there's a bit of conveyor belt on both sides of the car on the rear. I'll eventually find something that I like in terms of a mud flap that'll work, but for now, that's what we have to go with. So I know there's going to be some queries and some questions in relation to kids sitting in the back of a dual cab cruiser, because obviously these don't come equipped with child restraints, and not everyone is aware of that. And I reckon a lot of people probably get caught out at the last minute, not realizing that you technically can't put child seats in these. And there are ways of going about it. I'll spin you around and show you. So as you can see here, we've equipped it with the multi-drive, a child seat restraint. And you will find that some people do chuck a bolt and some plate onto these mounts here, one on both sides. We don't need 3 child restraints, we'll probably hopefully only get 2. But they only offered 3. And now I think of it, it's probably not realistically the end of the world. Like, you're paying for the engineering and the time for it to be installed. Not that the time is really that much. It's 6 holes across the top and 6 across the bottom. But the engineering side, because obviously we've got a dog as well. So if we want to put the dog in the cab and have 2 kids in here, we can have the dog on one side and then 2 kids on the other. But most situations, people are going to have a kid on either side of the vehicle. So in terms of that, it is some kind of maneuverability, like customization within the child restraints as such, so we can move them around. So with that was the child restraints, so that's all done. I've actually brought it down here to Dingo's for a bit of a test drive. I took it out for a bit of a drive yesterday. I didn't really film anything, unfortunately, but just me and the wife, we wanted to go out and test it all out before I give you guys some thoughts. What do I rate the shocks? Because obviously that's the bit that was different from the last build. That's between the shocks and the diff housing. That's the only difference in the rims. When I started driving it back from Perth, obviously it's about 500 k's from Perth back here to near Dingo's Beach. It's rather harsh, I guess you can say. And I was a little bit underwhelmed. So the other thing that was also done was the brake booster, which I'll pop the bonnet and I'll show you that in a minute. So I was a little bit underwhelmed on the shocks, and I think, well, to be honest, I can't really speak too much because I haven't had any time to adjust the shocks at all, so I don't even know which knobs do which yet. Got an idea of what it does and the understanding of it, because I've been in suspension for quite a bit of my life as well. Not on cars, but on motorbikes and push bikes and stuff like that. Anyway, so it did feel a little bit harsh at the start. I still haven't adjusted them, and it's riding a lot smoother than when I picked it up. Now, I'm guessing that's to do with the cycling of the shocks. They've had some time to settle down from when they've been built. That's my guess. They are a little bit softer. In terms of the body roll, so basically everything else on the car, other than the shocks and the fact that it's a dual cab over a single cab, is identically the same. Now, so the body roll side of things, this ride's incredibly stable. So like in terms of like swerving around roundabouts, intersections, T-junctions, all that jazz, it is a lot more stable than the previous shocks. And the shocks I was running originally on the last cruiser, they were the Dobinson IMS shocks. So from my understanding, they're exactly the same shock without the adjustability and without the remote reservoir. So the only bit that I can put it down to at the moment is down to how firm the shocks in this setup are currently adjusted. That's all I can put it down to at the moment. Until I have some more time to bit of a play with them, maybe I might give you guys like a 12 months or 6 months review on the shocks and the bit of suspension setup. Yeah, other than that, it's not really negativity, because I know that I can adjust it out. So it's just a little bit more underwhelming when I first started driving the car. Brakes, so this is the part of the GVM upgrade, as to support the tyres as well. So that's a terrain tamer dual diaphragm brake booster. So obviously I had to go to that brake booster as a part of the GVM and the tyres spec'd with the vehicle. Now, my initial thoughts on it, I was approaching a set of lights that I thought I had a little bit more time, and it was night. It's like 10 o'clock at night. This is just after I picked the vehicle up. So I was approaching a set of lights, and then they turned orange and red, and the delay was a little bit shorter than what I thought it was going to be. So I've jumped on the brakes, and I was very much underwhelmed with the brakes. Now, since that experience, I feel like the brakes have gained more power. However, they still ride soft, and everywhere, all the reviews that I can find, that brake booster, the feel of it is softer than factory. Now, my guess is that's just the design of that brake booster in terms of how it feels. Driving trucks and stuff like that, I'm normally used to quite a firm brake. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just personal preference, I guess, is all that really comes down to. There is a little bit of a click at the top of the brake pedal when applying the brakes. If you've been on the brakes in the last couple of seconds, you won't notice it on mine. But if it's been like a couple of minutes, it's just like a tiny little, when you go to apply the brake, it just requires a little bit of pressure, and you do hear it as well. Other than that, it's grown on me in the last couple days. I haven't, like, it's just at a point that I don't even know that it's even there. It's only little stuff, but I'm a little bit picky with that sort of stuff. Now, other than that, I guess there's only really one more thing to really show you guys what I've done. And I don't know if I'm ready to even show you guys yet, because I've only tried them out last night for the first time, and I was very impressed. Anyway, I'll give you a bit of a glimpse at them. So there's these lights here. So they're the Nighthawks in the VLI. So you can adjust how bright they are. And you can see here I've got just a standard lens, and this is the flood lens. So the initial thoughts on those lights is, yeah, very impressive. Best set of lights I've ever owned. Now, that's enough for that. There'll be a separate video for that. I'll try and simulate some driving probably. It's probably the best way to show your lights in a video, because everyone else that I've seen puts photos up or takes a clip or something. It's pretty pathetic. You don't really get an understanding of the depth and the dynamics of the lights. So, yeah, anyway, enough of that. With that, guys, please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. There'll be some more content. You'll have to wait for next week's episode as to what I've got there, and I'll try and drop those lights in a future episode as well. If you've got any questions about the build, please comment below. Ask me any questions that you want. I'm always willing to answer anything you guys have got, or if you got any suggestions or queries about anything, yeah, just let us know and I'll get onto them for you. With that, I'll see you guys later.